Welcome to the Supported Living Property Podcast with your host, me, Lisa Brown, the place to learn about supported living property investing. Hi Bronwen, it's great to have you here today. How are you?
Hi Lisa, I'm very well, enjoying the British sunshine for a change.
It's such a beautiful day today when we're recording. For those who don't know you, I'll ask you to introduce yourself in a minute, Bronwen, but it's really lovely to have you back again because you were my very first guest when I did the Lisa Lives into the Facebook group, and I was really terrified, and you were such a pro. You were really calm and really like, you'll be fine, Lisa, and I was like, oh my God, what am I doing before we started?
I remember it very well, I really do, and I was just such an advocate of what you were trying to do at the time, and now look at you. So yeah, it was wonderful.
Oh, it was brilliant. But yeah, so thank you for that, Carmen. Please don't go back and listen to that one if you haven't listened to it, because I'm sure I'm like all the way through it. But we've got Bronwen back now, and she's going to give us a great update. So for those who don't know you, Bronwen, do you want to introduce yourself to everyone?
Yes, of course. Yes, I'm Bronwen Vearncombe. I'm a property investor down in Hampshire, and I started investing about 8 years ago now. I was a banker in the city. I was working crazy hours, 2 children, husband, mother, and I just thought there has to be another way. So yeah, I found property 8 years ago, haven't looked back really. Started with HMOs. I have HMOs, holiday lets. I have guest houses. That's what we're going to touch on today. And I do some developments and conversions and things. So yeah, quite a mixed portfolio. But yeah, I absolutely love this game. I also help other people learn as well. So, and I wrote a book, so I'll just finish on that. Your dream life, I've got to get that one in.
Absolutely. We'll put the links to all of that in the show notes so people can find it, Bronwen. Absolutely. But you've got so much experience from a whole range of different things. And the other thing as well that's really exciting about you at the moment is that you're not based in the UK most of the time, are you? So you're managing all of this stuff for our doing exciting traveling and living abroad. And yeah,
well, that really was the purpose, really, was to escape our corporate jobs, both my husband and me, so that we could go do the stuff that we've always dreamed of doing. And hence my book, Building Your Dream Life. And it was very much our passion to do the things that we wanted to do. So John sailed around the world, would you believe, on the Clipper yacht race. That was the catalyst, because that had a start point and an end point. So for us, it was, how do we make sure that we can both go round the world, and I followed him, and not have to worry about managing our property business. So that really was the catalyst back in 2017. And then during lockdowns, we were away in Africa pretty much the whole time. So we traveled, we volunteered in Namibia, and then we shipped our car over, and we've ended up in Zanzibar off the coast of Tanzania. So normally I'd be doing this from there.
Amazing. And your obviously your Facebook feed is always full of amazing photos, so anyone who's not following, please do. It's well worth it for the excitement of that. But obviously we're here to talk about the work that you've been doing with your guest houses, and I think it's a really interesting approach. So if you want to talk a little bit about those and just tell people what it is that you do.
Yes, we were doing a lot of HMOs as our primary strategy, and it was very competitive and quite hard work to actually create an HMO from scratch. And we just sort of, in our second year, I suppose, nearly third year, it was, let's start doing bigger deals. So we were looking at commercial properties, larger properties, with the aim of converting to flats, because we'd done a 6-flat conversion. So yeah, long story short, we found a property, and it had planning permission for short-term letting, and that's what it was doing. I think it was people coming out of prison. They were young people. They were being housed here as a sort of stepping stone for them. And we thought, great, properties in a residential area, it's going to really do well with a conversion to flats. So we bought it, and we thought, while we get the planning permission, what should we use it? Let's earn some money, because we had a bridging loan on it. And we thought, okay, we'll let the rooms out. And that started our sort of learning of, how do you do short-term letting? I've done holiday letting, but how do you do short-term letting in a city centre? And where's the demand? So we did all sorts of things. So we did, contractors, mental health step down, NHS. That started our look into charities. The charities led us through to councils. The councils led us to emergency housing. And we thought, okay, this is where the demand is. And we tried all of them, really. The mental health was a real struggle. Love them, you know, they were hugely in need, and we didn't want to provide supported living, which is, you know, we wanted to have somebody live in, but we didn't want to provide that level of service.
That sort of higher level care and support. It's skilled, isn't it? It requires someone who really knows what they're doing to manage.
It's massively skilled. And in that first year of buying that property, you know, we were around, we weren't traveling at that point. And, you know, I was often in the property, and, you know, I recognized how difficult it was for our live-in manager. So, yeah, so we found council emergency housing by building that relationship with the council. We also had our agent manager who also provided rooms in his pub for council. So he actually had the better relationships with the council than we did. So what we did was we got him to work with us. He let the rooms on our behalf. He built that relationship with them, and he basically filled our 26 rooms of that property very, very well. And we recognized then through the numbers that this is something that would work for us and for our investors. And then after that first year, we spoke to the council. The council told us that, that they had demand for certain things. We refurbished, and then we expanded. And then we did a purchase lease option on a bed and breakfast that was empty. We've got 2 other long leases on empty properties. One was a bed and breakfast, and then we've bought another one as well. So we've now got 5 properties, mostly council, but 3 years ago we started doing street homeless, which was very unique at the time. And the council actually asked us, they said, we've got this opportunity for a grant. We know it's an issue for the city. We don't want to have to find the properties. We don't have the properties ourselves, but we know that you're interested in this stuff and we know you. So we actually did a purpose-built sort of technique of a property to try it out and to see if we could work with the council with street homeless, and that we could work together, because we didn't want to do the hands-on really support. So we said to the council, if we provide the rooms, you provide the social worker connection and the security if needed. And that was their suggestion, actually, because some people, if they're drug dependents, can be quite violent at times. So we trialed it and it worked really well. So we've expanded that as well, especially during COVID.
So what size was that building, Bronwen, for the Homelessness Project?
We started with 12 rooms, and we had a live-in manager. The manager
had for individuals who'd been street homeless.
Yes, these are individuals who are on the street currently, and they expressed an interest. They wanted to come off the street. Of course, we know that some street homeless don't. They're actually quite happy with their life. But during COVID, the council came to us and said, we have to take everybody off the street, whether they want to or not. Now, that was a very different situation. And we actually dedicated one of our other properties to that. And that was 18 rooms. So we expanded into that because we knew that it was working, and we knew that, yes, it might be a little bit more challenging, but the council were there to help us because they were given funding to help during the COVID period. And we were actually home during that first lockdown as well. So we were out trying to get food because these people, we didn't have kitchens and rooms at that point. So we were actually working with the charities to actually provide food as well for those street homeless. So we sort of got the council emergency housing, which is pretty standard on the 26 bedroom. And then we've got these other 2 that were street homeless. That's relaxed now because we don't need both of those properties. So we still have the 12 bed. And then we bought another property next door to the purchase lease option property that came on the market. And we've dedicated that and refurbished that for Step Up for street homeless, Step Up for council emergency as well. So this is where they might stay a little bit longer. They've got cooking facilities within the room, and it's completely refurbished and brand new. So it gives them a bit more independence.
Because there's the cooking facilities and things there, you mean?
And there's washing facilities, there's a laundry facility, and then our manager lives next door. So again, it gives them more independence. You haven't got somebody on the premises, and quite often they're starting working as well. So this is what the council asked us, told us to do. We found the property. We went to the council and said, what is it that you really need next? How can we make this work? Is it, are the numbers going to work for us? So that's what we did a couple of years ago now.
And I think what this really clearly demonstrates is that relationship building. It's that, you start building relationships, you start solving a problem for the local authority, they're going to come back to you more and more and say, actually, can you do this? Delivering, it sounds like a really high quality product, Bronwen, I'm sure it is, knowing you, so the properties are probably really well managed, and actually then that means that people are going to come back, and it works really well for both of you, doesn't it? So you can carry on growing and supporting.
It's the demands, Lisa. The key thing here is you don't really know, because it's all hidden from you. These people are chucked into smelly bed and breakfasts and sometimes into travel lodges and things, and they're forgotten about. And they, quite often they're with family, and they have separate rooms. They've got to vacate the property in the morning and come back in the afternoon. And I actually did a bit of mystery shopping. I actually went out and had a look at some of these other places where people are placed temporarily. Of course, we know temporarily is not just a few nights.
How long is it normally, do you think, in your experience?
Yeah, it can be 2 weeks minimum, but quite often a couple of months before they then move on to, more secure accommodation for longer term. But what we found was we started with Southampton City Council, and then what happened was that because the demand is so high, all the councils speak to each other. So the emergency housing unit, the families unit, the homeless units, they all talk to each other because they've all got to place people quickly. And so they're all on the phone. So we were getting calls from Portsmouth, a lot of demand in Portsmouth, and then Eastleigh and Gosport. So all along that South Coast corridor, even Bournemouth at times, they would be phoning us and saying, have you got a room?
Wow.
That's why we expanded. So the 26 rooms were occupied pretty quickly, and then we realized that this was a much bigger market where up to an hour and a half people were put in taxis and sent to us. So that's how bad it was in a way. But recently Portsmouth have actually got their own properties now, so that's a good thing. For people in Portsmouth.
People don't want to be travelling an hour generally, do they? They want to be where they are in their community.
It can be quite sad at times, and I have been in the property when the police have arrived with a family, and this has been sort of safeguarding issues and domestic violence and things like that, and that's when you realise that what you're providing for people is safe, secure, warm environments with somebody on hand who's there, it's a fantastic opportunity, not only for the council but for us as investors as well, because there is a good return on investment. We're not a charity, we are doing this for us and for our investors, and if you work together you can actually get a win-win, and that's the point really in this game.
And I think the other thing that's really interesting about the way that you've done this is that you've used some quite creative financing strategies, haven't you, to get hold of these buildings, going from fairly, medium-sized HMOs up to some of these quite big buildings. Was that quite daunting? How did that feel?
Now it's interesting because going commercial from residential is completely different. But actually what we found, and through sort of being mentored and things early days, was that in a way it's a little bit easier, you're more in control. So we were able to negotiate much better for larger properties. So the first one we actually bought, from the charity that owned it, but we negotiated, so it was on at £950,000, and we were like, crikey, that's a lot of money. But we bought it for 700. So you can see how you can negotiate But then the next strategy for us was purchase lease option. So we were looking for empty properties, and there were quite a few at that time in Southampton and Portsmouth. And we were saying, you know, well, what's empty? And yeah, keeping an eye on Rightmove, looking at what's on the market, what's for rent, but also empty. And this property that I'd seen on Rightmove for sale that sold at a silly amount came back on the market. Right. And that was like, okay, quick. It was on with a private agent. Again, a quick sort of, oh, that's interesting. It wasn't with a commercial agent. So went to see it over a bank holiday, phoned up the agent, said, can I come and see it tomorrow? And they said yes. Saw it with the private agent, and then saw it with the vendor the following week. And that's when we realized that all the boxes were ticked for purchase lease option. They didn't need the funds now. He bought it with cash. He didn't know what he was going to do with the money. So it was a perfect situation to say, well, why don't we give you a return on that money now? But we would like to have the option to buy it in, say, 5 or 6 years' time. So yeah, it took a few months to negotiate, but it's a perfect relationship. And that's the one that we literally last week completed on, and we bought it. So we're 5 years on, and we bought it. It wasn't easy in this current market.
No. Had you agreed the price at the time when you set the lease option? Yeah.
Yes, we had. And that's quite interesting. I probably would have negotiated better with hindsight.
Well, a better price.
A better price.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we were quite motivated at the time, but also he's a property person, so he was very good at negotiating. But however, you know, it's still a brilliant property. We've put a lot of money into it. We've improved it, and it works really well. In fact, that's one that we do have as a public sort of holiday let, not holiday let, but guest house. So that one is one that we spent some money on and made it nice. So yes, that was a purchase lease option, and then a couple more were potential purchase lease options. One again, empty bed and breakfast. Phoned the number on the hood that was falling down over the front door. Just literally phoned the number and said, "Oh, is this your property? What's happening with it?" And we met up with him, and he'd actually been renting the rooms out over a period of time and had got tired of the business. So we said, well, why don't we rent it from you, give you an income? He didn't want to sell it, however. So we did a long lease there. So we've got like a 15-year lease, or was it 12 years? 12 years on that one. So that's working quite well. And then another one, somebody approached us. So we got known in the area, people were talking. And this guy approached us and said, I've got a property, I'm finishing off renting it out. Would you like to rent it from us? And it was quite run down, actually. And we thought, okay, maybe we could do something with that one. So yeah, and then we've bought the one next door. So yes, these strategies are really important because cash flow is king. You know, this is, you know, we were running out of money very easily, very quickly. So what we didn't want to do was use capital. And we wanted to build up the business over a period of time so that we could then get mortgages based on the business and the turnover of the business. So our negotiation with the lenders now is very different because our turnover is very good, even during COVID, of course. So lenders have been quite interested and happy to lend, even during this horrible period. It's been harder. We've had to answer a lot more questions. Yeah. And it's taken a lot longer. But, you know, we gave ourselves a year before the option expired, at least a year. And we needed all of that time. Yeah, we needed all of that time to complete it. But yeah, great strategies, lots of different strategies out there. And I think, you know, education and knowledge about these strategies is really important. And that's why I love to teach people and help people learn as well. It's one of my favorite bits of property, to be honest, is finding the property, negotiating and finding innovative strategies and finding investors as well. It's something that I love doing. The managing bit, I'm not so interested in.
But it sounds like you bring in managers to do your day-to-day management anyway, don't you?
We do, because from day one with this, it's about us doing other things, adventures abroad. And there's no way we could have spent the last 2 years traveling in Africa without having really good people on the ground. So that has taken a while to bed in, but also the systems have to be there as well. So we need to be really happy and comfortable that the businesses are operating efficiently and effectively, but are also really safe. And we have good fire systems, we have CCTV, we have really good booking systems now that integrate with Xero, which wasn't the case when we first started out. When we first started, we had a whiteboard. We had a whiteboard on the side. That was our room booking system.
Right, okay.
We had a phone. That was it. Now we've got really good systems.
Yeah.
And we have to, because we have 95 rooms across different properties. So,
and if you're working with different local authorities as well, invoicing, I know that can be a challenge with local authorities, can't it?
Don't mention the invoicing route. So yes, for listeners, this is not long term, this is short term letting. So this is letting from a few weeks, a few nights, even up to 3 months, and sometimes longer. We've had asylum seeker, for example, that stayed with us for 1.5 years, a family. But anyway, so this is short term. So what we do, we don't have contracts with the councils. Okay, there is no contract there that says, we let you rooms. We have an understanding and we have a room rate that we've agreed with the council, but they phone us up and they say, can you house this person, this family? And we say, yes, this is the right property for them. And what we will then do is invoice them. So we'll invoice them every week, every couple of weeks, something like that. And then some councils require a purchase order number before we can invoice, so we have to wait for that. Some councils don't. Some emergency family will sometimes do a credit card payment, and every council is different. So we have to build our systems so that we can adapt that, so that it's really clear for our managers how we do which council. And then there are exceptions and all sorts of issues on the administration. So yes, it's not us managing that now. We have a team of people. I have my daughter who's doing a lot of the administration now. And I often turn to her and say, can you just sort this mess out? But all credit to our managers. Our managers have been there from the start. What I call our agent manager, Colin and his wife, fantastic. We've had our ups and downs. We've had the big issue during COVID when suddenly it was all hands to deck. And they have been fantastic. So yes, we always sort out our issues together, and we build this business together. And yeah.
But it's very much a business, isn't it? It's very much you need a team around you, you need your systems, and it's not because you've not got a guaranteed contract with the local authorities. I guess that does put an element of risk into the business. If they suddenly decided they were going to go with someone else, it's unlikely, because we all know how short the accommodation is currently. But that I guess is a risk for you guys, isn't it, that you have to factor into the business?
It has, and it has been, because Portsmouth took their business back in-house. And actually that's right. It's right for the council to do that. They shouldn't be paying third parties, really.
No.
The government should be putting funding in for this. So we always knew that would happen, and it will happen. I hope it will happen with other councils across the country. But there is always need. So you take the street homeless situation, and you take other charities and other needs. There will always be need for something in an emergency, but it needs to be, not a hotel. It needs to be somewhere that understands how people might be feeling, that offers somewhere that feels safe and that is a home from home, and safe and secure. And that's really what we're all about. We've refurbished, we've improved. Where the street homeless go, it's not as good, of course, as some of the other places we have, but it's a starting point. And you know, what we say is, if you can give people a chance, and this is the big thing, you know, the social worker, if somebody comes in and says, okay, now you're in a place, it has an address, you can start to come into that system of getting back into society and helping yourself, then that's what we're doing. We're giving people that chance. We're putting our hands out and saying, here you go, this is an opportunity. We don't provide the service of the hand, but we provide the safety and the security of a place to live. And yeah, it's not all roses, but
no, I can imagine. But so important, and you know, and it works well from a property point of view as well. So Bronwen, thank you for sharing all of that with us. It's been really, really useful. It's been great chatting to you again, and we'll drop your contact details into the show notes so people want to find you and find your book and stuff. It'll all be there. So thank you.
Pleasure. Always happy to chat to people who want to learn a bit more. So find me, contact me, book a chat with me. Always happy to help and mentor people elsewhere.
Thanks, Bronwen. Take care. Bye.